All right, we're good. I'm with Julie Pingston with Choose Lansing, and we're going to kind of talk about some of the cool things that they've done here in the Greater Lansing area to increase accessibility for visitors coming in. So, why don't we just start out with maybe a quick overview of Choose Lansing and kind of like what that organization does for the city.
Okay. So Choose Lansing is a destination marketing organization, and our job is to promote and develop our region, which is the Tri County region, Ingham, Eaton, and Clinton counties. We promote all of that area to bring visitors into our region for economic development. And really, that leads to a better quality of life for our region. We bring in $732 million as a tourism industry here, and so all of that money coming into the community as new money really does help, the people that live here not have to pay for as many things, because more taxes are coming in from outsiders, and that helps us all in the end. And so also our industry supports 9,500 jobs. So tourism is a big economic employment provider as well. And we bring 6.7 million visitors to the community. They come here for a variety of reasons. We promote opportunities for meetings and conventions. Amateur sporting events is a very large sector for us and growing. We also work in bringing anybody who comes to our region for fun things to do, going on trails, going to the Wharton Center to see a performance, all of those entertainment and leisure opportunities. We also help promote and get people to know more about our community. And then accessible travel has become also something that we've promoted to, again, bring new people to our community, have them really enjoy their stay, and spend their money here.
Yeah. So the accessible part is obviously why we why we're connecting here to kind of dive in and just a little bit more about what Choose Lansing's done. I think let's just start out with kind of a cool. I don't know if it's really called an award, but an acknowledgement that you guys were ranked the number two city in the U.S. by Accessible Journeys magazine. Um, why don't you kind of tell us a little bit
Yeah.
about you know that? I don't know if you want to call it an award or whatever you call it.
Yeah, we'll call it
A bit about
a very amazing recognition.
okay.
And really that recognition is for the work that has been done by so many throughout the community over the last eight years specifically. A lot of destinations are just now, over the last 2 or 3 years, getting into being they're recognizing more the importance of accessible travel and trying to meet those needs. And we've been working on this since 2017, so we've come a long way in that process. And so Accessible Journeys magazine named us the number 2 destination in the country for accessible travel, which to them meant that we've been doing this for a while and we're not just getting started. It also meant that we have put a lot of tools in place that will help visitors. And I think third is, as a destination, we've promoted that. We haven't been hesitant to put that information forward and show that if you are traveling with any sort of disability, we'll work to help you and provide that information up front so that you're not guessing if you can go to some of our attractions or places. And certainly our partnerships with Able View, Able Eyes at the time we started all of this have really helped. That know before you go has to us been a big component of what visitors have looked for.
Yeah, and I mean anybody that doesn't know Accessible Journeys magazine's huge. I mean it's
Mhm.
I actually believe it might be international. I mean
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is. Yeah.
millions of readers every single month in that
Yeah.
magazine. So it's not just like something somebody just started. It's been around and it's very, very well known
Right.
internationally.
Right.
Um
And to be second to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina
yeah,
is in very good company because they are leaders that I follow. So
yeah, we've had conversations with them. They're doing a lot.
they are.
So yeah, that's great recognition. I know that at the annual meeting last week, you had touched on working with Wheel the World. Why don't you kind of explain what Wheel the World is for anybody that doesn't know, and kind of how Choose Lansing's partnered with them.
Certainly. So, Wheel the World is an organization that kind of put that assessing your destination forward and under so that that information could be provided in advance to travelers looking to figure out if they can come to a destination or to a venue or a hotel, whatever that looked like. And so we had done something similar through Michigan State University, and a lot of people look to that information, and we did a more basic version of that. So we thought in partnership with the Wheel the World, we could get a more robust um, assessment of and kind of a cataloging in figuring out all the things that our locations offered. So we became destination certified with them, and their information is now on or our information is now on their portal of people that go to look for accessible travel, and has a booking engine as well so they can connect right to our hotels and have that information. So we're just finalizing that. We're going to put that live soon. We just wanted to kind of they gave it to us all, but we want to make sure that all the everything makes sense, and we have the right images, the photography that they came in and did as well, to make sure that that all is the right images that go with the right places, and finalize it with all the last minute changes, and then we'll have that live. And that also provides an opportunity or a training portal for all of our partners. So our partners can go in and do on-demand training for all accessibility needs. So if they really want to understand low vision, there's a module on that, and they can dig into that. So we're looking forward to putting that out to our partners coming up in the next few months as well. So, and then doing a little more marketing through Wheel the World as they offer that. All of this really became possible through a grant that the Travel Michigan offered. They got funds through the EDA, and so we were able to take advantage of that. And I think the really amazing thing is not only did we do it, 5 other destinations did it, and so now in Michigan we have all of us in this providing the same information for visitors. So if you go from here to Kalamazoo, to Ann Arbor, to Grand Rapids, you'll be able to get that same information about all of our destinations, which I think is going to be amazing for people coming to Michigan.
Yeah, Michigan's done a really good job with that.
Mhm.
I don't want to dive into super deep into how all that works, but like Pure Michigan obviously is has put together some partner programs, and obviously we've been a part of the
Yep.
Pure Michigan maybe 3 years out of the last four.
Right,
Last year, like you mentioned, was a grant, so it was a little bit different program, but same type of idea. So they've created a lot of opportunity for the destinations to be able to make this stuff happen, because you know all these programs. I mean, there's money involved, and it's not cheap to work
right.
with a lot of the companies to come in and do multiple locations within your area.
Right. And the good thing of partnering, we had a partnership with Travel Michigan as well with you. And we used that to be able to provide that information about some of our organizations and locations that were more nonprofit. Like they couldn't afford to do this on their
Yeah,
own. So you all went out to Rotary Park, which is a great location, but something that the Lansing Parks and Rec department couldn't put that into budgeting
yeah,
for doing something like that. So our co-op with Travel Michigan allowed that to happen as well. The state capitol, you did them all. So,
yeah. Yeah, that was actually right about the time that I came on
right, like I remember that was
really
one of
in
your
an
first
active
doing all
role.
them. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. You went to the
learning on the
playground.
fly.
Yep. Didn't
Yeah,
you do
I did the
you did
playground.
the
I did
playground?
Rotary. I did the Capitol building. I did quite a few. Now I've done so many that I can't even remember all of them.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I know that we so we purposely did a number that really. I think you did Jackson Field. Didn't you do the lug nuts?
I did. That one actually turned out really cool. That was one of my
Yeah,
kind of larger first ones that we turned
yeah,
into a custom tour. Yeah, yeah, I like
yeah.
that one. Yep. Yeah.
Lots
So
going on.
what's that?
I said lots going on with the two of us.
Yep, yep. Yeah, so why don't you just kind of explain a little bit about what the Abilize program did here in Lansing, and then we can jump on to how you like bringing Christy in. That
Okay.
was last year, or the year before. I
Year
remember.
before.
Yep.
Year before. So we've had Abilize be a partner, I think, since we all started this. When I started getting involved, it was a spur from the Wharton Center for Performing Arts, and they were going to do a sensory friendly performance of Disney's The Lion King. And she asked me to, how do we help promote this? How do I fill a theater? How do we get people to come from this audience that are craving the opportunity to come as a family or come as people who've never been to theater before, because of all the things that, if you have any neurodiversity, is not the most accommodating place if in regular theater going. So how can we make an opportunity for that to be provided to everyone? So we had a year to do that. And so we just started partnering with all of our local attractions, creating programming, Impression 5 Science Center, Abrams Planetarium, all the different attractions. How can we get that, build that program? So if they come here for that big performance at Wharton Center, they see that there's more to do, more to come back for. And Abilize was integral in being a part of that, of helping tell that story as we're building that information out and being a consultant and trying to provide visuals for visitors to understand if they are, especially in that instance, if they have any type of neurodiversity, that if they're going into Impression 5 Science Center, that it has high ceilings and it has wooden floors, and that may be something you need to know before you venture in there, and you might need to make those accommodations before you arrive. And that's what Abilize helped us showcase for everybody. You can't lie, we are very fortunate that Abilize is based right here. So there was a lot of already built-in connectivity, and that partnership grew and grew and grew. And now obviously it's gone international and become a great local company here in our area. So we all grew together in this whole journey.
Yeah, we're actually going back and doing Impression 5, probably within the next month or
Oh,
so.
good. Yeah, they've
That
changed. They've
one's
got a
already
lot of, yeah, they've made a lot of changes
yep.
over there.
Yeah, what we're seeing now is there's a lot of, like, we're getting a lot of repeat, because once a place has had us come
Mhm.
in 3, 4, 5 years ago, they've
Right,
remodeled, they've changed
right.
things, and we're getting a lot of people coming back like, "Hey, can you," or they've grown. They've got a new location
Yeah.
here, a new location there. So it's been great for us, because 'cause we've been able to, stay with those same organizations and help them with their updates.
We love
So
that.
yeah, I mentioned bringing Christy in. Um
Mhm,
and why don't you just kind of talk about you guys did a tourism accessibility summit,
mhm.
and Choose Lansing brought Christy Durso in, who I believe is from Texas, if I'm off the top of my head, right?
At the time she was in Texas, she's in a military family, so I think they've recently moved, but yeah,
They're in
she's,
Nashville now, I think.
yeah, I think it,
I think they're in Nashville. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
they just moved. Yep.
Yeah, so why don't you tell us how that
Yeah.
summit worked, and kind of what Christy did when she came in?
Mhm.
Yeah.
So we had a tourism accessibility summit October of 2023. We had been building a lot of information and tools, and we really wanted to make sure that our industry kept up in terms of knowing all the things that were available and the things that were happening around them and with them. And so putting all the pieces together to tell the story. We also wanted to have, more of a overview and a training opportunity. So we brought in a um, national disability advocate who I had met through a lot of different channels. She's a former Miss Texas wheelchair, yeah, Miss Texas Wheelchair is who
Yeah.
and she, the national finals for that is in Michigan. So she came to that. I got to hang out with her there, met her at different events, and thought she would just be a really great connector here to talk to our industry. She understands hospitality, understands events and how all of the nuances related to that. So she came in as the keynote for our accessibility summit. Really great opportunity for our partners to ask very specific questions and learn from her. And then we took her around for an entire day, and we were able to showcase many of our attractions that had been working to build their accessibility offerings and understanding. And so she gave a critique of, maybe here's how you could do better, or this is amazing, I can't believe you did this, were many of her comments. So, and even just little things as we, were touring around the community, maybe you want to talk to the city about these curb cuts because they're angled in a way that a wheelchair just can't quite navigate without an extra push or anything like that. So lots, from big conversations to very small conversations that turn into big conversations. So it really was an asset having her come to the community and share her expertise and keep in touch with us. And I'm sure we'll bring her back another day. I'm sure of that.
Yeah, it's great for businesses and organizations. Sometimes they don't know, or they didn't think about things, right? Like they didn't realize it. And when somebody comes and says, "Hey,"
Yeah,
like it's just kind of like it's a way for them to gain some knowledge.
right.
Um, you know,
Definitely.
sometimes,
And it's sometimes it is just the littlest things. Like we went into a historic building and we knew it would be a challenge because it's a pull open door. And that,
yeah,
she knows that in a historic building, sometimes that's the case. But the bigger stumbling block was they had a welcome mat that was not very welcoming. It just made the wheelchair not able to get up over that. So it's all, and then the mat is now gone. So it's those
yeah.
little
It's like
things that,
sometimes it's simple things, right? Like you just didn't
mhm,
realize it, and it's like, oh, we can just move that trash can to a different spot, or we can just
absolutely.
move that mat out of the way. Like it just
Mhm.
doesn't need to be there anymore, right?
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I think
Yep.
everyone should at some point go through their business or to their organization and just go through with in a wheelchair or with a walker or whatever that looks like and see what your guests might be experiencing. There's probably no better tool than that.
Yeah. And then lastly, before we jump down here, you mentioned some just accessibility studies that you've done with Jake Steinman. Um, why don't you just expand upon kind of how you've helped with that and what that looks like?
Sure. So, Travel Michigan actually puts out a visitor profile each year of visitors that come to Michigan, and they break out the responses by region within the state. And so, fortunately for us, our region is the Tri County area that we represent. So, it's our data specifically, where others are more broad of, here's West Michigan or the whole UP. And so, we're really able to drill down to that data. And so this latest visitor profile study was done by Longwoods International. They've done it every year, and one of the questions that they chose to ask this year was someone traveling with you in or someone a member of your travel party traveling with you with a disability, and it was just yes or no. And so the national average turned out to be on that study 17%. And so as I dug in and looked at all of the different numbers that were the other regions of Michigan, there was 13%, 14%, 16%, 17%, the national average, but our Greater Lansing region was 21%. So that's when I did an aha moment and realized that because we've spent the last 7, 8 years working on this, that maybe we were making that difference and showing. I think always with accessible travel, we've known it's the right thing to do because people need to travel, but it will be for helping our aging population, people down the road that break a leg, that also helps them, all these great reasons. But it also showed then some return on investment behind it, and our investment has not been millions of dollars by any stretch. So to show that we were beating that national average pretty handily, I took our information to Anderson Economic, and they drilled down and found out that 6.7 of our percent of our visitors travel with someone in their travel party has a disability, and we were able to put some economic value to that. So I shared that with Travelability and Jake Steinman nationally, and that got his wheels turning as well. And so that study is now something they're going to expand. That was literally one question on the national survey, and then the Michigan point of that. It's now, I think, 20 questions and really digging into a full study. And there's going to be another study for meeting professionals. So really trying to take this accessible travel, and put some numbers to it that really will help us all to know how many people are coming here with either a disability that we see or a disability that we don't see. And I think that's where people also need more understanding and to figure that out. And some of this data I think will help a lot of people.
Yeah, I think it's all good stuff. You know, it's like you said, it's the right thing to do, but um, at the end of the day, a lot of these are smaller businesses, and they like to see like, okay, well, what's the data show? And the reality is, it's increasing revenue. I mean, it is. It's bringing people here that may have chose to go somewhere else if the information that Choose
Yep.
Lansing is providing, if that wasn't there, they might go somewhere else. So it
Right.
is driving visitors
Or the
into the
or
area.
the worst thing is that they won't travel at all, because it's a
Yep.
huge demographic of people who truly do want to travel, but just find these stumbling blocks that are in front of them that make it challenging to do so. So they want to go where they know that they can find what they need to get accommodated for their specific needs, and hopefully they can find that here.
Yep. Um, Lastly, why don't we, if you want to, what's on the horizon? You got any new plans? Is
Mm.
there what's 25, 26, 27 look like? Or, do you have any
Mm.
new programs you're looking at, or what's that?
Right. Yeah. The team is always like, what we finish something. Okay. What do you got next? So yeah. So we do have the accessibility summit coming again. We did not do that in 24 because we wanted to just make sure that the content was strong enough to bring people together. So we're going to be doing that again later this year in 2025, and then I think that will start to showcase our next steps going forward. You know, we're working, I think the next step, we are a large destination for meetings and conventions, and we've always been able to provide that information here locally to meeting professionals. But we're working on a project right now, just being more inclusive of the information that we have about if you're planning a meeting here. And so, because that's something we do a lot, so how can we make that even better and have more information about that? So that's coming soon as well, probably this year.
Awesome. Well, thanks
Yeah,
so much for jumping on with me.
you are welcome anytime, Evan.
All right, we'll talk soon.